Welcome to Decluttering 55 Plus with Michelle Passoff. This is the place to come for news you can use to get things done. Everybody knows that too much stuff is clutter, and cleaning it makes you neater and tidier. To us, it is a life management tool that helps you navigate your next steps. This is what my book, Lighten Up, Free Yourself from Clutter, is all about. As baby boomers, we have a lot in front of us that is confounding and confronting, so we sweep things under the carpet and put them off another day or forever. That is clutter because it keeps us stuck, and my new book addresses all of that. So we're going to bring experts, authors, and authorities here to talk with us about health, relationships, technology, finance, housing. What are you going to do next in life? Passing down your life stories, and even the challenges of making final arrangements. Here we aim to learn, open new possibilities, choose, take action, and create a legacy, not a mess. So let's get started. Whether you or someone close to you is young or old, life happens, and an emergency or death can occur, whether it's expected or not. How prepared are you? If you don't want to think about it, our next guest is likely to strongly suggest that you think again. Cueva is the owner of Custom Organizing Incorporated, a certified Before I Go solutions facilitator and author of Grief Without Chaos, Organization for Emergencies and Death. Her book is a workbook that will take you through the process of organizing all the information, paperwork, and directions anyone would need to know about you in case you became incapacitated or you die. With all these resources about your life in one place and at their fingertips, your loved ones will suffer less and take care of you and your business better. Anne will share her own personal experience with grief that led to her work with people at the moment of crisis to spare you from making what might be the worst moment of your life even more devastating. Welcome, Anne. It's so great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks. It's my pleasure. Thank you for asking me. Any opportunity I get to spread this word, I'm thrilled. So thank you.
Well, let's get to it. Getting all of one's vital information in order sounds simple, but getting it all in one place is something people avoid. Why do you think people don't want to deal?
I think that's such a great question because it shows how, first of all, it's the subject. People don't want to talk about death or bad things happening. And I always tell people to relate it to this. When you have a house or a car or, just anything that requires insurance, like health insurance, we have no problem getting it. And the reason we're getting the insurance is because in case something happens, well, life situations happen every day, good or bad. So what I want to do is make people be aware and become responsible and be prepared for a life's emergency. It's not like we're going to plan a death, because I was the type of person that if we talk about death, I was scared to death somebody was going to die. So I relate to all those people that feel that way. It's a true feeling. And plus, who wants to talk about death? No one. So, but I turn it around where this workbook is not about death so much. It's about getting your documents in order to be prepared for a life emergency, such as if you're in an automobile accident or a coma and you cannot speak for yourself. When you get all your vital information together in this one book, that book will speak for you. So I think when I want to stress, instead of saying, I don't want to do that, become responsible, give yourself a gift and your loved ones a gift, and take the time to get your documents together in one place. So I think
let's talk about what kind of documents are in this book.
Okay.
What kind of documents do you have to get in order?
Right. Okay. Well, it's very good. Now, legally, I can't give you any legal advice on what is right. I would tell you to consult an attorney, but it's such as a will, a living trust, a DNR, do not resuscitate. A lot of people they'll tell people, but I've seen many times if someone's in that situation, and it usually is with family members, they'll say, well, mom didn't want to be resuscitated. And another child says, well, yes, she did, or I never heard her say that. That right there, along with the financial end of it, can cause years and even breakup of families because they didn't know what the parents' wish was. So if it's written down, that removes that argument.
So what we're talking about here, the book that you have, which is Grief Without Chaos, Organization for Emergencies, or what is it?
And Death.
and death.
That word that no one wants to talk about.
It's all of this information will be in one book. So, if you have you say your will, your trust, your do not resuscitate, or you're clarifying that wish so that people don't argue about it. What else should go in that book?
Okay, your banking information, your any financials, your property. You say if you own a home, you want to have all your information. That I tell people, think of it this way: if you went into a coma today and someone needed all your information, some people go, that's a nightmare in itself. And even passwords, we have passwords listed in here. The number one password that you need to share with someone is your password to your computer. That seems to be an area where people, that's where all your information is today. But when you lose someone or go into an emergency situation, we get the questions that I call, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what they're going to ask us. And I took from my personal experience of, in 2003, I lost my 17-year-old son. And to this day, we have no cause of death on him, perfectly healthy, but he passed away. And so the things I learned from that situation. And then in 2014, my mother and my mother-in-law passed away 3 months within each other. And one was prepared, one was not. And the differences that I learned and watching my clients go through emergencies and deaths, I thought, this has to stop. There has to be a way we can do this. And so that's where I put together and wrote the book, Grief Without Chaos. And it's just and as people fill it out, it brings peace to you because you're doing what you know you need to do.
Yeah, so you're not going to roll over and die, like you said, just because you fill out this book.
Exactly.
You're going to. Can you describe the difference between the two? Your mother and mother-in-law. You said there was such a difference between those experiences. Can you spell that out so that those of us listening out there can identify with one group or the other, and let's see how we can trim the sails so that we all end up in the same place, which is to be organized, to have it all in one place at your fingertips. So somebody and to moreover to tell somebody where all this stuff is so that they can easily take care of you, not to take care of you. That's the way. It's really one of the best ways to take care of you.
Yes. Well, I love to share the story with the difference between my mother and my mother-in-law's deaths. And my mother had cancer, so we knew that was coming. And actually, when David passed away, my whole family, we got our burial plots and niches and everything. We just went ahead and did that at the time when we picked out David's. And so my mother she had lung cancer, so we had all of her stuff situated, and we even went about 3 months before she passed away to make sure everything was in check and in place so that when the time came to grieve, we didn't have all the chaos in there.
Yeah.
Well, my mother-in-law, for years, my family, we still laugh about this because she would always tell us, I have a will. It's over in the cabinet in the living room. I'll never forget, third drawer in the cabinet. None of us ever checked to see if there was a will there. And so when she passed away, because she had fell down her steps from her front door, hit the ground, and went into a coma and died a week later.
Oh, wow. So it was not expected.
Not expected at all. Very unexpected. And so we just thought, okay, well, let's go get her will. We'll start with that. Well, there was no will in the drawer. So one lesson and takeaway I want to give is that when you have a loved one that says, oh, I have a will, it's here, it's there.
Check.
Well, check. Just one person have a visual on it and see it. And anyway, long story short, and about $8,000 later from the attorney's fees that we had to get to find everything, I'm telling you, it was absolute chaos. For example, we learned that even though my husband's name was on her checking account, which is another good thing to do, make sure another loved one is on your checking account so they have access to it if something should happen to you. But on her safe deposit box, his name wasn't on there. So we had to hire an attorney to come check the safe deposit box to see if the will was in there. Well, get this. they could tell you yes or no if the will was in there, but they couldn't tell you the other contents in the safe deposit box. So we're like, if you think that sounds crazy when you are not grieving, imagine what it sounds like when you're grieving. It's just, what are you talking about? So we had to hire another attorney from another county to come over, and he could tell us the remaining contents of the safe deposit box. And that's just a small example of being prepared and not being prepared can make in your life in an emergency or even a death. And I think too that my definition of being organized is being in control of what you can be in control of, and this is something you can be in control of.
Yeah. So, it's confronting to go, I have this long list of what else do you put in there? You put your will, you said your will, your living will, your DNR, what else goes in there?
Yeah. Like I said, the passwords and your financial information. You need a list of your people who you want to call in case of an emergency, your neighbors, your relatives. It doesn't have to be an extensive, long list, just something to get the ball rolling when an emergency.
Yeah, because your loved ones, you may not know your other loved ones, friends or associates or people you spend Sundays at church with. They may not know all of that. So important contacts, and your real estate, you mentioned that, bank accounts.
Yes, if you own one or more properties, just list all that information. And also on, like I said, the passwords. And also in the back of this book is to plan your funeral. Funerals have changed so much today. I mean, everything is, a lot of people say, I'm not going to pay all that money and go through that. And that's fine. That's a wonderful choice that we get to make, but make your wishes known. And like I said, I have helped so many families that, the fights that come out, it's just like when money's involved or a death, the villains come out, so to speak, and the fights that ensue because of nothing was said. And so it's my passion because I really this is such a part of organizing that I think, again, it removes the chaos. I took all the things that drove us crazy during it, and every time they'd say, we need this, we need that, I would just say, oh my goodness, this is something we could have been in control of had we known. So that's what I want to make sure that people, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. And you feel so good when it's done. You feel responsible, and you've done your part in helping your family remove the chaos from grief.
So it's one thing if people go out and buy your book. By the way, where do they get your book?
Oh, you can get it on Amazon, or you can also go to my website, which is timeisthekey.com. That's timeisthekey.com because it takes time to do everything. So that's
time is the key. That's right. Scheduling that time is the key. But the website is www.timeisthekey.com. So they can go there and order a book of Grief Without Chaos, organizing for emergencies or death. And they can get it on Amazon as well.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, but it's one thing to go buy your book. And then the book, in my experience, long experience of being a clutter consultant, could languish on somebody's, under the pile of somebody's papers. So how do you be sure that this information gets in the right hands so if something does happen, somebody knows where to go get it?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And also, because people will buy the book and then it will sit. And again, through my years of organizing.
Worse yet, that they find the book and then they find it's empty. That's not a good thing.
That is what drives me crazy. Yes.
Now you can support people with that. Is that correct? So if you got this book and you have good intentions, you're going to put all your information in one place. But like I talk in so many different aspects of being 55 plus and over is we need some structures of support. So knowing what you know about people, Anne, and their tendency to put things off and have all good intentions to fill out all the pages in that book and they aren't doing it, how can you help them?
Yes. Well, that's one thing that I found. I would see that people would buy the book and then later I would ask them, how you doing on your book? And they go, oh, it's still sitting there. So I thought, well, I'm not going to have that happen because that is part that's missing. So people need motivation. They need a buddy. They need someone to help them do this. So every Monday evening, the first 4 Mondays of each month, I have a workshop called Make a Plan While You Can. And I assign homework each week. I keep the group to 12 because it's a very personal thing that people are talking about. We get some in the group that talk, and in the beginning, they're real quiet. By the fourth week, they're just given all the information they can. We have a private Facebook group that we can share things. And the ideas that come from everybody else that have helped them and the horror stories that have happened, just really motivate people and get them to be, get that book filled out. And I tell them 2 important things is let someone else know in your family that you're working on this book and where you're going to keep this book. Some people have even
maybe they can
out.
be the ones that so people can go. How do people find out about your support group? So you buy the book, Grief Without Chaos, from Ann Cueva, Cueva, Ann without an E, if I get it correct. I always have to remember that. The Anns and Annas and Ann, either without an E with an A. Ann without an E or an A or anything attached to it, Cueva, Grief Without Chaos. You get the book. Then how do I find out about those support groups so that people fill it out?
Yes. Okay. It's on the website and you will see it's called Make a Plan While You Can workshops. And
Make a Plan While You Can workshops while you're not incapacitated and you're not dead. Have all that information in one place. And you can go to timeisthekey.com.
Correct. Yes.
And they can go to Make a Plan While You Can. There's a button on that website.
The tab,
and then you can join up for a Monday night support group and get, it's horrible to do it by yourself. Like you're so in your head and thinking of the worst things. And the whole point of Decluttering 55 Plus is get it out from under the table, get it into the light of day, and take action so that you don't create a mess. You create a legacy. And that's what these support groups, the book and the support groups will do. And telling the people where that book is so important.
Oh my goodness.
So who should you tell where that book is?
Well, I would tell someone you're living with, obviously, and I would also leave.
Maybe you should even make a copy of the book. That would probably be a good idea.
Right. Because some people.
But then you have to update the book, don't you, Ann?
Yes. And that's what I tell people.
What do you do about that?
The best way to update the book is, matter of fact, we just had a member that was on the January class. And when she filled out her book, it was 4 years ago, and she was getting ready to have she had a 99% blockage of a carotid artery.
Oh,
so she was going to have her surgery. And so she completed her book, but she went into it because she just felt she was going to die during that surgery. It was a big surgery. So she filled the book out thinking she was going to die, and this is what they were going to find. Well, it's now 4 years later. Thank goodness she survived, but she said she could not believe the things that had changed in 4 years and how less emotional it was to go fill it out and put the updated information there without having that lingering serious illness over her. So I tell people every year on your birthday, the week of your birthday, just schedule time, just 20 minutes to look over and think about the life changes that have happened during the year, people that you've listed that you want to do things. For example, your animals. If you have animals and you have someone who's going to take care of your animals, that maybe that person had passed away or they moved. So it's just every year on your birthday, just give a quick glance.
Your credit cards can expire. Your bank accounts can change. You might change investment advisors. So all that information is all in one place in this book. And maybe instead of buying one book, you need a half a dozen to give to. You give to your attorney, or would you give it to an attorney, or give it to whoever you're assigned as your beneficiary or executor?
That's your choice. Yeah, matter of fact, I have one client that he said, I do not want anyone in my family knowing my passwords. So he filled out his book and gave it to his attorney.
Okay.
And so I said, okay, well, in your house somewhere, you have to have, if let's say, like I said, he's in an accident and he's in the hospital and he can't speak, and someone in the house said, where's that book he was working on? Someone needs to know that book is with the attorney. But also, when things happen like that to you, you're not thinking straight. Like example, one person said, I've had my neighbor for 15 years. Her phone number is memorized. And when her husband got in a car accident, she said she could not even think of the phone number to call her neighbor.
Wow.
So that's what kind of happens to you when this happens. Or let's say you're so devastated over the thing. It's wonderful to be able to have a book to hand to someone and say, here's all my information that you need to get the ball rolling and to help us. And they're so appreciative of it. And like I said, it removes the chaos. And I remember with my son, when we went to the hospital that night, we were getting ready to go, and the nurse came up to me, and she handed me a pamphlet over David's body and said, okay, here, we need you to plan his funeral tomorrow. You can look at all this information. And it was just such a horrible.
Yeah. Like, are you kidding? I can't even grasp what occurred.
And I tell people it was just like when in the movies when you could see people's mouths moving, but you can't hear anything. That's what happened to me. And that's kind of stuck in my mind. So I have a vision when I wrote this book that I want someone, if something happens to them, for them now to reverse it and hand the book to that person and say, here's my information. And not have to do that.
It's so, it's if you get Anne's book and you fill it out, attend the workshop to get support. If you don't get the book or the workshop and you find another way to do it, the important thing is to get it done. You're not going to roll over and die. You're just going to not worry about it.
Right,
if the conversation on getting your documentation together so that in case of emergency or death, you and your loved ones will have what they need when it's needed, has your head spinning, just stop that right now. This is not a conversation that should confuse you. It's a conversation that we hope empowers you to be responsible for making life easy for those who need to take care of you when you can't. So getting your documentation ordered is meant to simplify, not complicate your life. So get a copy of Anne's book, Grief Without Chaos, Organizing for Emergencies and Death. Join one of her support groups by contacting her. That's Anne without an E, Cueva, Cueva, at www.timeisthekey.com and get things done. As some people say somewhere, just do it. Remember, you're 55, not 5. So bite the bullet and be the adult in the room and get this done. I want to thank you, Anne, for being with me today and for sharing your experience and your resources with our audience. So tune in again, because we're going to always be talking about something that will invigorate your life and create a legacy, not a mess.
Love it. Thank you so much. You said that all just beautifully. So you're right. Just do it. Get it done. You'll feel better.
Thank you, Anne. Well, that's all we have time for today. So let's wrap things up with a request that you go to our website, www.decluttering55plus.com, and click on the Let's Connect button. Share your thoughts, insights, and tell us the lessons you've learned. If you're facing challenges or celebrating triumphs on your decluttering journey, we want to hear from you. Connect with us on social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Let us know you're part of our community by rating and reviewing us from wherever you're listening from today. And don't forget, invite your friends and family, young and old, to tune in too. Let's include them in the conversation. The more, the merrier. Thanks for being with us today. And until next time, this is Decluttering 55 Plus with Michelle Bassoff, wishing you a clutter-free day.